Caleb? Lesson 55. Let me show you the book. Lesson 55 is concerning itself with fractions, decimals, and percents. Well, really, that's everything we're doing in this whole book. We're nailing down all the details of these operations because that's the final step before you really dig hard into algebra. So that's what we're doing. And an example of that, if you can see here at the beginning of the lesson, they're showing us a fraction format, a decimal format, and a percent format of the same number, 1/5, 0.2, 20%. As you can see, the gray bar is exactly the same size in each one of those pictures. We just name them slightly differently, whether we're talking about fractions, decimals, or percents. So this is a way to illustrate how the numbers may have different names, but they all represent the same amount. Now, what we want to do is we want to really strengthen our skills to be able to translate back and forth between these languages of fraction, decimal, and percent. So we're going to begin working with what's called a reference table. There's a lot of them here. And that's what this lesson is mostly about, is developing its fractions, decimals, and percents. And we're really working on what we're calling the reference numbers. Reference tables, I might say. But that is the focus of this lesson, and we're going to be doing this for a good long time. So this is really drilled into your brain, which I have great confidence that it is in yours. Okay. When we build these little tables that we're going to be working with, reference tables, I call them, the top line is always the same. And we're always divided into thirds, pretty much equal thirds. The first column is the fraction. The second number is the decimal. And the third is the percent. So this shows how we're going to practice changing a number's formatting so that we can write it in each of those three languages. And this is the way John will present the problem to us. He says, complete the table, begin by inserting the reference numbers. Okay, he means in this row, we're always going to write the same thing. We're going to always use 51 over 100 and 0.51 and 51%. Always with the 51s. The reason why is because it's super easy to remember and it doesn't reduce. If we used 50, then things would be reducing here, wouldn't it? We'd reduce down to 1/2. This gives us a model or a reference to fill in the other parts of the table. The other part of the table that was given to us was 25%. So what this does is, what John is asking us here is find the decimal and fraction version of 25% and then use this row as a hint as to how to do it. I'm going to switch colors so you can see what we were given and what we filled in. What we were given was in purple. So the purple is what was given. Well, that's not really true. I mean, was this row given or not? Yeah, I would say it was given. And then what's in green is our answer. So I'm using these reference numbers to say, okay, if I'm using 25%, then this would be 0.25. I can see the way this goes from percent to decimal, that must be the right answer. And then this, I know I put over 100, but I'm squishing it over because I can see that's going to reduce down to 1/4. So the green is the part that I had to actually calculate in order to get this right. And P.S., I did get it right. These are both correct. Okay, another example. Complete the table, begin by inserting the reference numbers. So again, I draw the chart. I need to make 3 rows. The columns are always the same. Fraction, decimal, percent. I abbreviate. I don't want to write it out every time. That's too much. And what I'm giving is a fraction. This is what I'm given, 1 over 16. Oh, well, I can see right away that's a little more annoying, but I start in with my reference numbers, always the same, 51 over 100, 0.51, and 51%. Well, shoot. That denominator is not equal to 100, and it's not easily shaped into 100. It's going to be a little bit of drama to get the decimal number. But I remember what this line says. It says divided by. So if I can't easily shape this denominator into 100, then I just fall back on long division, and it's 1 divided by 16. Oh boy. And let's see. I think we want to take this, I'm trying to think how many decimal places. Let's just go and see what happens. Okay, 16 into 1 doesn't work. 16 into 10. Oh, I have to put my decimal straight up, right? 16 into 10 doesn't work. 16 into 100. Well, if it was 20, 5 times 16 would be 1, or 5 times 20 would be 100. So 5 is a guess. That would be 80. So I'm thinking 6. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 plus 3, 9. Okay, I'm happy with that. That subtracts to 4. And I bring down another 0. 16 into 40 goes twice, because that's 32. And then I get an 80. And I know that is 5 times. That's 0, 3, 8. Yes, and that comes up to 0. Okay, so this is my decimal number. 0.0625. That was not as easy as up here, where I was given a simpler number and I could do it easily. This one had division drama, but I'm fine now because I can see that to go from decimals to percent, oh yeah, I just bumped that twice. So this would be 6.25%. And those are both correct. Okay, so what we've seen is that filling in these little tables can either be super easy or a little more challenging, but I'm sure you've got this. Just remember, this is always the same. This first row, 51 over 100, 0.51, 51%. That is just to help us keep our bearings and remember how to relate these numbers to each other. So this first row will never change. And John refers to those as the reference numbers. That's what the first row are the reference numbers. Okay? All right, we'll be doing these cute little tables for quite some time, but that's all I've got for you today. Good luck with the homework.